Alright everyone, welcome back. I have some great news for us, and that is that Pyroblast Fake Queue weak aura has been fixed already. Yes, as soon as my video came out Friday, Amy and Dux went hard at work to make sure that my video was invalidated as quickly as it could be. And certainly that night, they even fixed the weak aura before midnight, and my video hadn't even been out for a few hours, already invalidated. Great job, guys. But seriously, it's great work on them. They wanted to get this back out to the community, because everyone's been liking Pyroblast Fake Queue, and their work has paid off. I tested it yesterday. It was working great. The Munchalizer showed that there was basically no munching across the board. It felt just like Pyroblast Fake Queue with some limitations and caveats, which I will go into now. And yeah, so we can use this until Blizzard possibly gives us that potential fix that the fix for the fix that I talked about in my other video. Or, you know, maybe we could just use this until the official fix comes out. This is pretty much just as good. It just has some limitations. The same limitations as anti-Q, actually, because this weak aura uses the back end of anti-Q, so it has some of those same limitations that I talked about in the other video. If you don't know what those limitations are, you can see them here at the weak aura page. The weak aura page is, of course, in the video description. Make sure you read this if you are unfamiliar with Pyroblast Fake Queue, and even if you were, many people seem to always never read the weak aura page. They just go to copy import string, import it, and then they come to the Discord asking a bunch of questions like, hey, what is this thing? What is that thing? It's like, did you read the instruction manual? No, clearly not. So how about you go back and read it, and then you will be informed. All the information is right here. I will also cover it in this video, just in case you don't want to read it. Anyways, alright, so the limitations of anti-Q are that it does not work with clicking. It does not work with Pyroblast being on an action bar of bartender that is above action bar 1. You basically have to have it on action bar 1. And it also does not work with mouse keybinds for whatever reason. So it still has those same limitations as anti-Q, but it works just like Pyroblast Fake Queue did before. Well, first, let's cover how you're going to import it, okay? You're going to copy import string. It's just, you don't need to delete your Pyroblast Fake Queue. Just leave that as is. Copy paste in the string. You'll get a bunch of different boxes. I've already updated mine, so you'll have more boxes here than I do, but leave everything checked to update it, except for custom configuration, so that whatever your custom configuration is for Pyroblast Fake Queue carries over, and then just hit update auras, update, and then you'll be good to go. That's it. The one other thing is you do need to update the macro that it uses, okay? It no longer has this PCQS in it. It now just has this. So after importing it, copy paste this macro, go to your Pyroblast Fake Queue macro that you had, copy paste it in, and then you will be good to go, okay? Put that on action bar 1 if you're using bartender. Make sure you're not using it with a mouse keybind, and it'll work well. Now, many people don't seem to understand what the custom options are, what the window and offset are, so I'm going to explain it because everyone seems to confuse the window with the amount of delay. This is not the amount of delay, okay? The window has to do with the amount of time at the end of your fireball cast that if you press Pyroblast within that window, that it will activate the weak aura. So 300 milliseconds, this means 300 milliseconds before your fireball cast ends. So the shorter this window, the shorter your freeze will be in the game, but it also means a smaller window for you to have pressed that Pyroblast. So 400 milliseconds being the max. I think the default is 150. It's pretty short. I keep it at 300 just because, I don't know, if I'm lazy with my button pressing, I want to make sure this weak aura still gets activated, basically. Because my spell queue, I just have my spell queue window at 400 milliseconds, the default. Why I have it that big, don't ask me. I don't know. I've just gotten used to it, so that's what I have it at now. So that's what your window is, okay? So this is personal preference for your window. If you're a big button masher, you mash stuff all the way until the very end of your cast, then you could have this be smaller and have less of a delay. If you're like me and you want to make sure it goes off and you don't really mind the 300 millisecond stutter, it's not a big deal to you, then you could leave this larger. It's up to you. Play with it as you like. The offset is the amount of delay that will actually be added at the end of the fireball before it casts Pyroblast, okay? And this is going to be based off your ping. 99% of people need to leave all this at probably just at default. Like, you don't need to mess with things. Window, again, personal preference. Offset, you only need to adjust this based on your ping, okay? If your ping is 30 milliseconds or higher, then you can just leave this at 0. That's enough of a gap. So basically what I'm saying is leaving this at 0 will just introduce whatever your ping is as the gap between the fireball and the pyroblast, okay? So if you have 30 milliseconds or higher, you're good to go. But if it's lower than 30 milliseconds, then that's where it starts to get into a small enough of a gap where ignite munching may still occur. You need to have a gap of at least 20 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds to be safe between your fireball and your pyroblast for ignite munching to not occur. And so if your ping is less than 30 milliseconds, say maybe it's 20 milliseconds, you're right next to the server, 10 milliseconds, something like that, then you might need to increase this to ensure that ignite munching isn't happening. That's not going to be the case for most people. I have a pretty small ping, it's 30 milliseconds. The ladies say it's larger than that when they see it, but it's typically only about 30 milliseconds. I left it at 0 the other night. It was just fine. Okay, I didn't have any ignite munching in my log. So this is only if you ping under 30 milliseconds, and I really would only worry about it if you're at 20 milliseconds, and then you could still just do a raid with it at offset 0. And if you find ignite munching in your log through the exclamation point munchalizer in the chat, then sure, you would maybe want to increase this up to 10 or something like that. But each offset amount is just the milliseconds that you're adding to that gap. And most people can just leave this at 0 with what your ping is. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so just make sure, import this, update your weak aura, follow the limitations of anti-queue. You cannot have this working with your mouse keybinds, and you also have to have it on action bar 1 of bartender if you're using bartender. And you also cannot click your pyroblast. But otherwise, works just like Pyroblast Fake Queue. So we're back in business, boys, until we get the official fix, or until something else breaks this, or whatnot. Also, Amy and Dux wanted to let everyone know that they are working on fixing the limitations part of it to be completely back to what Pyroblast Fake Queue used to be. I don't know the status of that. I don't know how long that's going to take, or if they're even going to be able to do that, so take it all with a grain of salt. But they are working on fixing this so there's no limitations, so that it's just you can go back to using mouse keybinds with it, and you also don't have to be on action bar 1 of bartender, although that's not a really big deal. The main thing is kind of like mouse keybinds. But anyways, that's all I got, guys. Just want to get this video out there so that everyone knows that Pyroblast Fake Queue has already been fixed. Invalidated my video just like that. But Amy and Duck, seriously, thank you guys so much for doing this for the community. Really appreciate it, because Pyroblast Fake Queue is definitely superior to anti-queue, certainly in my opinion at least. Definitely better DPS wise as well. And so, yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Anyways, hope you all have a great time. Great rest of the weekend, I should say. Cheers.